You may have noticed during previous examples that sketch geometry can appear in different colors. The use of color is really helpful, so you can quickly tell which items are constrained and which are not. Now, the colors you see on my screen may look a bit different than yours because of the color scheme I'm using. This can be controlled under Tools, Application Options. On the Colors tab, notice I'm using the Presentation setting with one color. To make this lesson a bit easier to follow, I'll switch this to a gradient background and the winter night color scheme. Now, back in the sketch, you can see that items that are not constrained show up in green, and items that are constrained show up in blue. But again, these colors may change depending on the color scheme you're using. If you're ever unsure about which items are not constrained, my suggestion is to simply try clicking and dragging things on the screen. Items that are constrained won't be able to move. And when you click and drag items that can move, you get an idea of what kind of dimensions or constraints need to be added. In this case, if I add a vertical dimension, the other line segment turns blue, telling me it's constrained. And when I add the final dimension, the whole sketch turns blue. You've probably also noticed that the status bar tells you whether it's constrained or not. If it's not, it tells you how many dimensions are needed to constrain it. Watch as I sketch a circle off to the side. At this point, Inventor reports that 3 dimensions are needed to fully constrain the sketch. I'll go ahead and add the diameter dimension. Once it's added, Inventor tells me that 2 dimensions are needed. But perhaps a better way to think about this is there are 2 degrees of freedom left in the sketch. As you've learned in previous lessons, you can use both dimensions and geometric constraints to fully constrain a sketch. So one approach would be to use 2 dimensions to position the circle, or alternatively, this can also be done with a single constraint. If I click and drag the center point of the circle, when I see the constraint flag appear, I can release the mouse, and the entire sketch turns blue. And the status bar tells me that it's fully constrained.